Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank. Good day and thank you for joining us here on Africa Investor Today this Tuesday as we bring you the latest in business news from Africa. We start with a look at politics and economy. Sudan on Sunday announced a 6-day delay to long-awaited elections to make up for hold-ups in registering millions of voters. Election officials have faced huge logistical challenges in rolling out the first multi-party polls in 24 years in Sudan, Africa's largest country. Sudan's National Elections Commission said it was extending voter registration across the country by 7 days until December the 7th because of a late start in some areas and appeals for an extension from some political parties. As a result, the start of the ballot will be pushed to April the 11th, 2010 from April the 5th. In our next story, Guinean junta leader Captain Moussa Dadis Camara's candidacy in any fresh presidential elections is not negotiable in the current mediation talks, Communications Minister Idrissa Sheriff said on Sunday. Sheriff said, however, that the junta were willing to form a unity government with the opposition parties to choose a prime minister. Burkina Faso President Blaise Compaoré, who is mediating in Guinea's crisis, this past weekend met with members of the junta and officials from active forces, an opposition, trade union and civil society umbrella group. Further meetings are set to be held between the CNDD and Compaoré today. And that's our politics and economy news section. Stay with us as we shift our focus to companies and markets.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
In companies and markets news, Italian energy giant Eni SPA is reportedly in talks with British oil explorer Heritage Oil over the sale of its Ugandan assets. The deal, which could be worth $1.5 billion, will see Eni furthering its bid to expand reserves after unrest in Nigeria caused a decrease in the company's output. The Ugandan fields are estimated to contain more than 700 million barrels of gross resources. Heritage operates with 2 licenses in Uganda in a joint venture with Ireland's Tullow Oil and is seeking investors to help develop infrastructure in the country. Both a pipeline and a refinery are necessary for operations, but Heritage has no experience in either. Tullow Oil holds the remainder of the 2 licenses and is also looking to sell 50% of its stake. Heritage will pay a special dividend of 90 pence to 100 pence per share, and proceeds of the deal will reportedly be used to fund projects in Iraq's Kurdistan region. And the news from South Africa now, all eyes are on Telkom today to provide clarity on its strategy to replace earnings that it previously received from Vodacom, the local cellular giant. The company will report its first half financial results for the first time since it sold Vodacom, which contributed about half of its earnings, and these very earnings are expected to drop by as much as 140% as a result of high operating costs. Telkom is looking for new revenue streams and is considering entry into the saturated cell phone market in South Africa. The fixed line operator is also looking for acquisitions in the continent, and so far its big acquisition, Nigerian-based Multi-Links, is yet to yield positive results. As we move on to banking and finance news, stay with us. We're going to take a short break.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
And we continue with a look at banking and finance news. Barclays Bank of Kenya's revelation that its third quarter profit grew by 4.7% to 6.6 billion shillings has rekindled the debate as to whether the current banking sector performance is a mere reflection of the prevailing economic slowdown or the initial signs of a big shift that is underway in the financial sector. Though the bank, which is Kenya's second largest by capital base, attributes the performance to a slump in the local and global economy, some believe that the outcome, similar to that of other industry leaders, reflects the hurdles that the banks face in a market that have been invaded by non-banking players such as mobile phone firms and microfinance institutions. Other than Stanchart, which beat analysts' estimate with a record 44% earnings growth, all major banks, including KCB, Co-op Bank, Equity and NIC, have reported only modest profits. In news from Egypt now, Beltoni Financial Investment Bank has begun operations in Libya, hoping to take advantage of a potential boom in new share offerings. As many as 25 initial public offerings or IPOs by both private and state owners could be made on the bourse within 8 months. Currently, the Libyan stock market now has only 10 listed companies. The oil-rich North African country remains largely unaffected by the global financial crisis due to its centralized banking system, high oil and gas reserves, and low overseas investments. A number of prominent foreign energy firms such as BP and Royal Dutch Shell have opened offices in the country since Western sanctions were lifted in 2004. With that, we're going to take another short break. We bring you more news when we come back. Stay with us.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
In infrastructure news now, telecom companies in the country have welcomed Smiles Communications Uganda Limited to the market, but warned the new firm of tough competition. Smiles Communications Uganda Limited, which becomes the 7th entrant into the telecom industry in Uganda, launched its services on Friday last week. It has promised the lowest call charges on the market. Smiles enters the market when the existing players MTN, UTL, Warid, Zain, Orange and iTelecom are engaged in stiff competition, with others enabling their clients to enjoy free calls. Smiles Chief Executive Officer Ms. Irene Charnley said the firm is charging a flat rate of 5 shillings and 7 shillings per second for local and international rates respectively, which makes it one of the cheapest on the market. And in our final story today, Botswana, the world's top producer of diamonds, is still making the most of its natural resources after being adversely affected by the financial crisis. In April this year, the country announced that it would halve its output of the precious gem after world demand plummeted, but is now seeing mining groups flock to the country to buy up uranium stakes. It is thought that Botswana holds 8% of the world's uranium deposits, and Australian-headquartered Impact Minerals recently confirmed significant finds at its Lekobolo mine, spanning an area of 112 square kilometers. In addition, ACAP Resources, a junior explorer also with Australian roots, has had its own good fortune and recently reported results of high-grade aluminium deposits at its Mokobaesi prospect close to Serule. The group, which is listed on the Botswana and Australian stock exchanges, more than achieved its target in 2008 after finding 100 million pounds of uranium before its half year. Mining in Botswana currently contributes 43% of the GDP. And that is it for today. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Stay up to date by logging on every day to www.africa-investor.com. Have a great day. Goodbye. Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.